He was kind, genuinely, consistently, quietly kind. He remembered things she mentioned in passing. He showed up when he said he would. He told her she was beautiful without wanting anything in return, and it made her deeply, inexplicably uncomfortable. When he was warm, she found herself looking for the catch. When he was patient, she assumed he was hiding something. When he said he loved her, she felt a strange tightening in her chest, not joy, something closer to dread. She ended the relationship after 7 months. She told herself he was too nice, too available, not exciting enough. 5 years later, she was in therapy, and she finally understood what had actually happened. It was not that he was not enough for her. It was that she did not believe she deserved what he was offering. And the moment love felt safe, her entire nervous system treated it like a threat. Most people assume that the hardest part of love is finding it. But for a significant portion of people, the hardest part is not finding love. It is letting it stay, receiving love, believing it, allowing it to land without immediately looking for the reason it cannot be trusted, without waiting for it to be taken away, without unconsciously doing something to make sure it is. This video is about that. The psychology of why genuine, available, consistent love feels not just uncomfortable, but in some cases genuinely threatening to a nervous system that was never taught it was safe to receive. We are going to look at where this comes from, what it looks like from the inside and the outside, what it does to the people who love you, and most importantly, how to begin to change it. Let's get into it. Psychologists call it love avoidance, though it shows up in the literature under several related terms, including intimacy avoidance, emotional unavailability, and in its most studied form, avoidant attachment. But before we get into the attachment science, there is a more fundamental mechanism to understand first. The brain does not evaluate love the way a rational mind does. It does not sit back and assess, is this person kind? Are they consistent? Is this relationship healthy? The brain evaluates love the way it evaluates everything, by comparing it to what it already knows. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux at New York University spent decades studying how the brain processes emotional experience. His central finding for our purposes is this: the brain learns what is safe and what is dangerous through experience, and it learns this before language, before reasoning, before the conscious mind has any say in the matter. For a child who grew up in an environment where love was consistent, where affection was reliable, where closeness felt safe, the adult brain recognizes warmth and availability as familiar, as home. For a child who grew up in an environment where love was conditional, inconsistent, or accompanied by pain, where closeness preceded withdrawal, where care came with control, or where love simply was not there, the adult brain has learned a completely different lesson. It has learned that love is unstable, that availability is temporary, that the closer someone gets, the more there is to lose when they eventually leave. And so the brain does what it always does when it detects a potential threat. It creates distance, not consciously, not deliberately. The person pushing love away is not making a choice. Their nervous system is making it for them based on everything it learned before they were old enough to question it. So, what does the inability to accept love actually look like from the inside? Because from the outside, it can look like coldness, like disinterest, like emotional unavailability. From the inside, it feels completely different. You might recognize it as the compulsive search for flaws. The person who, when they find someone genuinely good, immediately begins looking for the reason they cannot be trusted, the thing that must be wrong, the way this will eventually fall apart. Not because they want it to, but because their nervous system cannot rest in good. It was never taught how. You might recognize it as the pull toward unavailable people. The pattern of consistently being drawn to partners who are emotionally distant, inconsistent, or simply not fully available. Not because the person consciously wants difficulty, but because difficulty feels familiar. Familiar feels safe, and safe, to a nervous system built on inconsistency, does not look the way most people expect it to. You might recognize it in the sabotage at the point of depth. The relationship goes well for weeks or months, then, just as real intimacy begins to form, something shifts. An argument appears from nowhere. Distance arrives without explanation. The person pulls back precisely when closeness reaches the level where, historically, things have gone wrong. Or you might recognize it in the discomfort with being seen. The compliment that is immediately deflected, the kindness that has minimized it was nothing, honestly. The love that is received with a tightening rather than a softening, the inability to simply say thank you and let something good land. None of this is manipulation. None of it is cruelty. It is a nervous system doing the only thing it knows how to do with something that feels too good to be safe. It protects itself against the loss that, somewhere deep down, it believes is inevitable. Here is the layer underneath all of this, and it is the most important one. At the center of the inability to accept love is almost always a specific core wound. Psychotherapist and attachment researcher Diana Fosha describes it as the wound of unlove, the deep, pre-verbal belief that something about you, specifically, makes you undeserving of consistent love. This belief does not usually arrive as a thought. It arrives as a feeling, a tightening when someone is kind, a waiting for the catch. A quiet internal voice that says when someone good comes, this cannot be for me. And here is where the developmental research becomes critical. John Gottman at the University of Washington, whose 4 decades of relationship research produced some of the most comprehensive findings on love and attachment available, identified that the single greatest predictor of an adult's capacity to receive love is whether, in childhood, they had at least one consistent experience of their emotional needs being met reliably. Not perfectly, not always, but reliably enough that the child's nervous system could form the belief, when I need something, someone comes. When I am hurt, someone cares. When I am present, I am welcome. That belief, which psychologists call a secure base, is what allows an adult nervous system to rest inside love rather than brace against it. For people who did not receive that love, does not feel like rest. It feels like exposure. Here is the myth this dismantles, that people who push love away do not want it. They want it more than almost anything. The pushing away is not indifference. It is the most elaborate defense system the human heart knows how to build, constructed entirely around the terror of wanting something that has never reliably stayed. Here is what I need you to hear, and I need you to hear it completely. The wall you built around your heart was not a mistake. It was built by a child who needed protection and found a way to create it. Every distance you have kept, every good thing you have let go of, every person you have pushed away before they could leave your heart, built all of it for a reason. To protect the most tender part of you from the pain it had already experienced once. You did not fail at love. You survived it under conditions that made receiving it feel dangerous, and you built the only shelter you knew how to build. The question now is not why you built the wall. The question is, what would it take to believe that you no longer need it? Because the person on the other side of that wall is not waiting to hurt you. They are waiting to love you. And somewhere underneath all the protection, underneath all the distance and the deflection and the searching for the catch, you already know that. You have always known that. You are just waiting to feel safe enough to let it be true. Here is where healing actually begins. Not in one conversation, not overnight, but in small, specific, deliberate acts of letting something good land. Number 1. Practice receiving without deflecting. This week, when someone compliments you, says something kind, or does something caring, do not deflect it. Do not say it was nothing, or immediately return the compliment to move the attention away. Instead, pause, breathe, say thank you. And then this is the important part, let yourself feel it for 3 seconds before moving on. 3 seconds of actually receiving something good. That is the practice. It will feel uncomfortable at first. That discomfort is the wall. Learning it does not need to be there. Number 2. Name the pattern when you notice it. When you find yourself searching for the flaw, creating distance, or pulling back from something good, say it to yourself out loud. I am doing the thing where I push good things away. Naming it does not stop it immediately, but it creates the gap between the impulse and the action where choice eventually lives. Number 3. Consider that the people who are patient with you are not naive. They are not missing something you can see. They are not being foolish to love you. The story your nervous system tells that eventually they will see the truth and leave is a story. It is not a prophecy, and it is not a fact. It is the echo of an old experience being projected onto a new person who has not given you any evidence that it is true. You are not broken. You are not too damaged. You are not too complicated. You are not too much, or too little, or too anything. You are someone who learned to protect yourself in the only way available to you at the time. And that protection served you. It kept you safe when safe was not guaranteed. But you are not that child anymore. And love, real, available, consistent love, does not have to feel like a threat. It can feel like home. It just takes time to teach a nervous system what home is supposed to feel like. Now I want to ask you something. In the comments below, and only if you feel safe to answer, has this ever been you? Have you ever pushed away something good because part of you could not quite believe it was real? You do not have to explain. You do not have to justify it. Just tell me yes or no, because the number of people who answer yes is going to remind every single person watching that this is not a personal failing. It is a human one. Subscribe, and next week we are going into something that lives right at the heart of everything this channel covers. People pleasing, where it really comes from, what it is actually costing you, and why it has nothing to do with being nice. See you then.